want to actually show you something that is really amazing that I've had kind of working in the background for 8 weeks.
Those are really big.
Yeah, they did grow really big. I bought it because it's something that I've wanted for a long, long time. It was a little experiment and it turned out way better than I thought. I've had a real garden in the soil for a long time, but this is hydroponic gardening, and it's really automated hydroponic gardening. I've always been fascinated with this idea that you can take plant food, nutrients, put it in water and grow plants right in the water. And so this was really my first venture at all into hydroponics. And I was really surprised with how well it turned out. I didn't have very high expectations. Here's the crazy thing about this unit. These plants are just 8 weeks old. They actually can grow faster when you're growing them with this method versus in soil. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in looking at these. I haven't touched this unit but once a week to do 3 things, and I'll tell you what those 3 things are. After setup, which was really simple, it was just putting these little pods that come with a seed and some grow medium. You pop them in like that, you put water in, and you put 2 little scoops of fertilizer in. After that, there were just 3 things that I had to do. One is add water. At first, you don't have to add any, but as the plants get bigger, sometimes you have to add as much as a quart every week. But it has this cool little light indicator down here when the water level gets low, so you can just add more. That's really easy. And then every 2 weeks, you have to add some fertilizer. That's really simple. You just pour it in just like the water, and then the little filter that's in here mixes it around in the water. The last thing you have to do is just change the water. You only have to change the water every other time you add fertilizer. It actually tells you when you need to do that next, because the little add plant food light comes on, and then every other time that comes on, you change the water. And changing the water is not that hard. You have to lift all the plants and all their roots. And you can see this big massive roots underneath here that's just been hanging down in the water. I think that's incredible. And then you just dump the water out that remains there and add fresh water and add new fertilizer. So that's not actually that hard to do. There is a thyme plant down here. That's one of the smaller plants. A parsley plant, a dill plant, which is just grown completely to the top. There's a Thai basil back here, which is the one with the beautiful purple flowers, and then standard basil right here. I think it's a Genovese basil. The only other care that you really have to do is pruning them. And I probably should have pruned the dill a little more heavily because it's so tall. It's actually touching the light at the top. And pruning is just as simple as just pinching off, you know, the tops of these plants. I should have pinched this off because it's actually starting to flower. And it just makes the plants grow in a more compact fashion. This is as high as this model goes. Some of the models they have go, I think, to 24 inches. But this is kind of one of the medium-sized models. It's maxed out on the light height. But I still feel like I have a ton of plant here, and I've pruned these things heavily. So I've pulled handfuls of herbs out already, and they have continued to regrow. The person who I really see benefiting from something like this is someone who doesn't have room to garden, or who's just interested in fresh herbs in the wintertime, or someone who just likes to have something this beautiful and cool sitting on their countertop and have a little bit of green in their kitchen. What are the cons to something like this AeroGarden? The biggest one for me is that there's not ready instructions for growing these herbs organically. And while that is something I don't like, it's not as though me and my family only and always eat organic, but we prefer to. And if I'm gonna grow something, I really would much prefer it to be organic. There are organic hydroponic solutions out there, but they're actually much harder to get your hands on than conventional hydroponic solutions. The one thing that failed is the mint never grew, so I had to actually get another pod and replace it, but it was shaded out by all this other stuff, so the mint never took off, and that's what was supposed to be growing right in the middle there. So another downside would just be the amount of space that's in this unit for these plants. If you prune them heavily, which I pruned heavily, I could have pruned more heavily, then you can fit all these plants in kind of miniature size. Now, if this is sitting on your countertop, all the things I told you about, adding water, adding fertilizer, keeping an eye on your plants, pruning them and changing the water occasionally, it's actually kind of fun. It's like having a little bit of garden in your house. This unit has never had any natural light. That means all of the light for the plants was supplied by the mostly white, but there's some blue and red LEDs up underneath this light. It's on a cycle, which is automatic, so it goes on for 15 hours and then it's off for the rest of the day. I am an affiliate with AeroGarden, and this was actually the first product I think I ever bought where I was like, hey, I want to do an affiliate program with them because I think it's such a neat little product. And that means I make, I think it's 7-8% if you were to purchase one of these through their website. I would never do any affiliate deal though unless I tried a product and was successful with it. An example that I haven't promoted is another hydroponic product here, and I had multiple failures with this. These are cool. This is called Urban Leaf, and it's actually an even simpler hydroponic method, but because 2 out of 3 of my plants just failed and only the dill did well, I'm actually not working with them as an affiliate because that's too high a failure rate. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in looking at these. I think it turned out really cool, and I'm just pleased overall with the product, which is not always the case. So thanks for joining me. See you later. Bye-bye.